everybody, this is Bronislava for HandMadeRukodelky, and today's project is to knit a scarf from a variegated and very textured boucle yarn. Today I would like to talk to you about boucle yarn. This one actually was donated to us, to our group of knitters where I teach, and I did research, and I think this yarn is actually Lion brand. I know that lots of people have problem knitting with boucle yarn, but I wanted to share a little tip with you. First of all, it requires size 11 needles, which this one is 10.5. 10.5 would work. The only thing is that when I knit with the needles appropriate for this yarn, I always kind of poke into these little, I split the yarn, I poke in there, and it's just very uncomfortable. But I found out that if I go one size higher, instead of 11, which is, I don't know, I think 8 millimeters or whatever, this one is size 13, which is 9 millimeters needles, okay? And I can actually deal with this yarn much better. And also, I realized that if I use seed stitch with this yarn, it looks so much better, so much kind of like very textured, very luxurious. I cannot really describe it how I feel about it. I feel about it really great. So this is what I wanted to go and talk to you about. And basically I would like to go and do another video on a seed stitch for beginners, just to show how to knit this particular scarf with the boucle yarn. Okay, I already started, and I started on 27 stitches. I started on 27 stitches, and this is 11 inches. It's 11 inches wide. Okay, but you can go and start on any odd number of stitches. If you want it narrower, then you would probably start on, I don't know, 17, 19 stitches. If you want it wider, then 33 stitches, let's say. Okay, but let me show you how to start this scarf, because I have to take my other end because I already started this, and I decided, oh, I'll make a video for my beginner fans, people that like to watch my videos. Okay, so basically you cast on odd number of stitches. Okay, let me just show you first on just few stitches, not that many, and then I will show you how I'm knitting over here. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's go and say 11. Okay, so what I do when I am knitting the seed stitch is I always start with odd number of stitches. Okay, odd number, which is 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Okay, and then I don't have to worry about anything else because every row starts exactly the same. So then you just go and start knitting. Knit stitch and purl stitch, knit stitch and purl stitch, knit stitch, purl stitch, knit stitch, purl stitch, knit stitch, purl stitch, and knit stitch. Okay, for English knitting people, of course you would go and hold your yarn in the same hand as you're knitting, okay? So it would be done the same way. You see, because the last stitch, for example, was knitted, right? But on this side it's purl, okay? And this stitch was purl, okay? So on this side it shows as a knit stitch, okay? So that's the beauty of having odd number of stitches. You don't have to think, you just go and start each time with same way, so you don't get confused that one side is this way and another side is this way, then you forget which side, because with this yarn actually you really cannot sometimes distinguish, especially if you're a beginner. You will not distinguish which stitch is what. You know, I can see it. I can see that this one has a bar across, so that's purl stitch, and this one has a V, so this one is a knit stitch, okay? But if you're a beginner, you may not really distinguish that. So it's always good to start exactly with the same stitch, okay? So this one would be knit stitch, right? So we would go and knit, okay? And now this one is purl. So it's the seed stitch is always knit and purl. Now we have to move that yarn back. That's what I always do wrong with my English, that I forget to move the yarn. Okay, now this is this we need to do purl stitch with yarn in the front. Now knit stitch with yarn in the back. Okay, purl stitch with yarn and needle in the front. Knit stitch with yarn and needle in the back. Okay, you just continue like this all the way to the end. You alternate these stitches. That was purl, this one is knit. Oops, yarn in the back. Do I have it in the back? Oh yeah, I have it in the back. Okay, because we do not want, if you forget to do that, you will have a yarn over, and that will add stitches. So you really have to be moving that yarn back and forth, okay, when you're doing the English style. Okay, now you turn it around and you go again exactly the same way. You will start with the same stitch, purl, I mean knit, not purl, knit. Okay, knit stitch and then purl, and you alternate again, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Okay, all right, so that's just to show you, okay? And if you do it right, if you never make a mistake when you're doing this row, always finish your row, so, because then you can get confused, you know, if you stop like this, if somebody's calling you or whatever, just finish that row, because you know that when you turn around and you have to start on knit, okay? Knit, purl, knit, purl. Okay, so let's go and take this out. I showed you how to start, and I will show you now again in Continental style how to do one row, okay? Continental style, and we will continue. So we will knit, and I go through the back loop because I slip my last stitches. I don't want to confuse you, okay, with this one right now. But you just knit all your stitches, even the last stitch. Okay, so I knitted the first stitch, so now I have to purl my stitch, and then a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, You see, I'm bringing that yarn forward, so it doesn't matter how I hold my needles and yarn. Okay, it's the same. So I did purl, I have to do knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And with this yarn, with the bouclée yarn, don't get distracted by anyone, because it has those little bumps in it, and the seed stitch has bumps in it, so those bumps get even more emphasized. That's why it looks more luxurious with this type of yarn to do seed stitch. So I did purl because I have bar across my stitch, and now I need to do my knit stitch and knit and purl, knit and purl, knit and purl, knit and purl. And I slip my stitch, but you would knit your stitch, okay? But I slip my stitch. All right, and then we repeat again. Look at that. And again we go with the knit stitch and purl stitch. So, you know, we don't do you know, if you have even a number of stitches, then you would have to remember, oh, I have to start with purl stitch. So this way you really don't have to. You don't have to worry about how you start. Okay, and you know what? When I am finished with this scarf, which is going to be actually used for a prize in our library, it's going to be donated to use as a prize. I will actually show you how to bind off. You see how easy it is to go and knit with really big needles? You don't have to worry about splicing that yarn. So that's why I really like big needles and bouclée yarn. And also I like that, like I said, the seed stitch, because it looks more textured. The bumpy look of the yarn and the seed stitch, they just get more, the seed stitch gets even more bumpy. Okay, so that's for now, and I'll see you when we are binding off, when I have a really long scarf. So as you see, I am finally finished with my scarf, and now what we need to do only is bind off. And actually I used entire ball, and I just wanted to kind of make sure that I have enough yarn, because I wanted to use the entire ball, but that I have enough yarn for binding off. And I kind of measured that if I go and knit one row, for one row I really need to have about 4 of these 4 of these lengths of my scarf. Okay, so I'm hoping that I will need just as much for binding off. Okay, so let's start binding off, and I always bind off same way. Okay, so I need 1 stitch, I need 2nd stitch, and then I pull that 1 stitch over the last knitted stitch. I have 1, I will knit another 1, and I pull this one over the last knitted stitch again, and I will knit entire row just like this, knit and slip over last knitted stitch. Okay, and let me actually do it English style. So you knit your stitch, and then you pull it over, and you knit the stitch, and you pull the stitch over last knitted stitch. Okay, so you have an idea. You can go and finish your entire row. Okay, I finished my last stitch and I will just pull the yarn through the last stitch to make a knot. Okay, and now I will just weave in my ends, and look at this, it's perfect, right? Although, you know, when I was telling you about those 4 lengths that I will try, I'm not sure if it would work with thinner needles, but it worked in this case. Okay, you would have to check how many lengths you need to knit entire row, and basically that's how many lengths you would need for bind off. Okay, so here we are at the end of my video. You can see a beautiful variegated yarn which was donated actually, and I'm going to donate the scarf to our local library, and I'm very happy with all this outcome, and I hope you know that you will knit along with this video. If you do, share your products, please. That would really make it really cool to for other people to see what you did, and motivate other people to knit. It keeps us out of trouble, right? And anyway, so that's about it. I thank you very much for sharing all my videos, and I will see you another time.